So obviously you went and did something fun last month that I didn't get to do.
Yeah, I made a hell of a trip out of it. But yeah, I got to go to TAM. I got to be a fanboy for a bit, meeting some people that I'd been looking forward to meeting for months. I mean, James Randi wasn't in Florida when I went to do the Darwin Day thing. He was supposed to be there. Initially, when they sold me on the idea, they said that he and I were going to be sitting together as luminaries at the fundraising dinner. It didn't happen. But I did finally get to meet him up there. It was a great thing. He's a really sweet guy. The remarkable thing was that when I was going to meet him, and I see him just standing a few feet away and nobody's bothering him, oh, that's James Randi, and I can't get to him because other people were coming up to take pictures with me and shake my hand, and he was just kind of standing there stroking his beard watching this going on, so that was kind of cool.
Good times. Yeah. I got to go to TAM 7 last year, but I wanted to talk a little bit. We're lining up some callers, the telephone number's up, and we'll start taking callers here in just a couple minutes. But I wanted to talk a little bit about, what you thought about the amazing meeting, what you thought the highlights were, and anything that you thought they might have been able to improve on or change or anything like that.
Well, I didn't get, as we were talking about before, I didn't get a lot of education out of it. I did see a couple of things that were addressed that, one of which I thought should be, and another one I had a little bit of a objection to. One, somebody was speaking, and I got so confused because I had so many things going on. I was in and out the whole time. But somebody had mentioned about being vitriolic to believers and people of faith, and I'm completely down with that message. There's absolutely no reason to be hostile. As you are a great example of this, I think I am to a lesser degree, and many other people.
I'm a great example of being hostile?
Well, I'm getting to a point.
Okay.
The most outspoken advocates of rational thinking, of skepticism, of this sort of philosophy of believing things that are not that are based on reason as opposed to faith. The greatest proponents of this type of thinking are all ex-believers. Most of them are ex-creationists. So any of you, when you get into a debate, and people ask me all the time whether there's any purpose in debating theists, online on YouTube and Usenet or what have you. Yes, there's a value to it because every now and again, some people's minds do change, and when they do, that person that you're debating with, the one that you might be tempted to throw hostilities at right now, might well turn into an ally later on. People that I have gotten into hostile debates with have posted comments to me maybe a year or so later saying, it took me a while to figure it out, but you were right, and they're now advocating the same position. Bear that in mind, that that is an eventuality, and try to keep the vitriol down, because that very often may be the only thing holding them back from realizing that their position is unstable and not on solid ground.
Yeah, and I've talked about this a lot lately, both at the blog and in Facebook postings, and I probably won't dig into it too much because we do want to get on to callers, but this idea of theism and atheism and how they relate with skepticism. There's been a lot of discussion about, atheism is not a, proper subset of skepticism and vice versa, or that skepticism is not the mother set for atheism. And they're right, it's not. And I've never said that somebody couldn't be both a skeptic and a theist. I was a skeptic long before I became an atheist. The difference, or the point that I would make, is that I wasn't skeptical about my theistic beliefs. At the time that I was a skeptic and a theist, it's because I wasn't applying skeptical ideals to my theistic beliefs. And my primary objection to this thing that I've dubbed the skeptic schism has been that there seems to be a contingent of the skeptic community who, in order to, they seem to want to go too far, in my opinion, to keep the peace or misportray some people's views by saying, yeah, there are theists who are skeptics, and we understand that not everybody necessarily agrees on that, but let's kind of cut them some slack and let's not address that. And I'm like, my primary position is, it's not like I'm going to run and get in their face and smack them around and what the hell are you thinking and why haven't you given up this nonsense yet? It's absurd. But likewise, nothing is beyond question. There are no sacred cows. There's nothing that we shouldn't be able to examine critically. This assertion that there's no testable claim, so there's nothing to look at, is nonsense. if we've learned anything from skepticism, it is that if a claim is untestable, you could not possibly produce sufficient evidence to justify believing it. And therefore, what skepticism has to say about untestable claims is they are not believable. And that's the only thing, that I would ever actually say about how my skepticism led to atheism.
I get accused all the time of arbitrarily dismissing, a possibility.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that miracles are impossible by definition, and that God technically is not physically possible because the only way that we can indicate him is by something that defies all natural laws.
Right.
Technically, it's not a possibility, but I open my parameters even to that. Now, they tell me that I'm dismissing a possibility, but in fact, I don't have to dismiss what has never been indicated.
Right.
And I don't understand why people can't bring me a reason to open up show me something that indicates that, and I'll accept it.
You don't even
or at least entertain the idea.
Yeah. You don't even have to get to the point where you ever mention that, by definition, miracles are impossible, because all we're really saying is you have something that you think is a miracle. You need to demonstrate it so that we can investigate it. Now, I'm of the opinion, the default position, that even if this phenomenon that you're going to identify, if it actually does occur, it's not in fact a miracle, even if it's something that we perhaps can't understand or necessarily explain. But the first step is to actually demonstrate that there's a there, and for some reason they can't get past that first block.
Yeah, and somebody told me that I had a presupposition that there was nothing but the material, and I said no. In fact, I actually believe that there is a great deal more to the universe than we have ever perceived. I will not speculate what it is. I have no idea. I suspect it's there, and I bet that when we find out what it is, it will be better, grander, more spectacular, and more interesting than anyone's notion of a God.
Yeah.